Hey guys, it's Elise. Welcome back to My Cupcake Addiction. Today we're going to be making little tiny easy bake ovens, and they're super tiny and super cute. The things that you're going to need today: I've just baked a couple of miniature cupcakes. I've got some sprinkles and a tiny bit of chocolate ganache frosting in a Ziploc bag. For my oven today, I've got some Kit Kats, I've got a sour strap, I've got some Pocky. You could also use a chocolate dipped pretzel. I'm also going to use graham crackers, but you can also use something like an ice cream wafer, which is equally easy to chop and about the same kind of thickness and easy to dip in chocolate. For my chocolate today, I'm using a white chocolate that I've colored with a little bit of pale pink. And if you're having any trouble coloring, melting, thinning your chocolate, I'll leave a link down below to help you guys troubleshoot. I've got some little chocolate melts. I've got some brown mini M&Ms, some regular brown M&Ms, a pair of scissors, and I've also got a fork. Off to the side, I've got a knife, I've got a Ziploc bag, and I've got just a little bit of baking paper. I've got that resting on a board or a tray just for a bit of stability. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna trim our graham crackers down to size. You want one of your graham crackers to be quite small. He's gonna be the one that sits on the very, very base of the oven. So using a knife, I'm just gonna trim sort of in line with that first little row of, I guess, little holes in the graham cracker around each of those sides. So you should have one really small one, and then you should have 5 regular sized graham crackers. One of them, we need to cut like a little front window section for the oven so that we can actually see inside once we seal it up. When I'm cutting this little rectangle, you'll see I'm using a flat edge knife. So I'm going to saw in one direction, and then I'm going to turn it around and saw in the other direction. That's so that my little point can kind of dig in nice and tight on both of those corners. You'll know that little piece is ready to come out when you actually start seeing it moving just during your sawing action. So don't be tempted to like try and pop it out before you actually see it moving freely by itself. And I'm just going to kind of neaten up around those edges so they're nice and neat. All right, I'm gonna dip those into my pink chocolate. You can use any color you like here. Now you wanna make sure that the front sides of your cookies are the smooth ones. So take off any excess, and you'll notice when I take off the excess, I'm actually kind of dipping it back in the chocolate, but that chocolate's actually gonna drag off some of the excess chocolate every single time I dip it in there, and it helps you get rid of the excess a lot faster. All right, push your little graham cracker off and let it slide down. We're gonna dip all of those pieces in chocolate. All right, take your final piece, and before that starts to dry, we're gonna add in our little cooktop elements. You wanna make sure that you're leaving plenty of room towards the back, so get them as close to the front as you can. Don't apply too much pressure when you're pushing these down, because that chocolate's wet. If you push them right down, you're kind of gonna bulge the chocolate out. And once you've got them on there, you can slide them around a tiny bit, but try not to move them too much. Perfect. Now those guys all need to set. I put mine in a flat tray so that I can chuck them in the fridge. They'll be done in about 5 minutes. While your chocolate's setting, we can do a couple of other little jobs in preparation. I'm gonna take that little Ziploc bag with ganache in it, and then we can snip off a little bit of a fine tip. And then we're gonna pipe up these mini cupcakes. You just wanna start in the center, coming all the way out to the outside, kind of doing like another little stack on top, so it's nice and high. Once that's done, sprinkle on a few sprinkles. Now, you also want to take your Kit Kat block. You want it kind of at room temperature. If that's been in the fridge, when you try to cut it, it's going to crack and it's not going to cut super neat. Now, these guys here, you want them to be as neat as possible, so you can just kind of run the knife along just to make sure they're lovely and neat. So once your little graham crackers are all set, you can peel them off their backing. And as you're trimming off, you want to try and just flush out any of the edges, because the straighter those edges are, the better they're all going to stick together. So you should be looking at 6 pieces of oven. You've got your base, your front piece, your hot plates, and then 3 side walls. So I'm going to pour some of that pink chocolate into a Ziploc bag. I haven't remelted that, so it's a little bit thicker than when I started. That's just going to help it not be so drippy when we start putting all of this together. The first little guy down is, of course, going to be our base piece. And then you kind of want to size up your little side walls. So it's going to look like it's way too tiny to begin with, but it needs to be smaller, because if it's not, then your little top piece isn't going to sit on. Before I do anything, I just want to check that my back wall is good. You just want to make sure you're doing a nice clean fit. So don't be afraid to just chop a little bit off if you need to. Just like that. That's what we're looking for, a really nice flush fit. And you'll have a little bit of space where your chocolate's going to go in there. So you can see what I'm looking at there. I've kind of laid it out like a little bit of a floor plan. You can kind of work out how everything's going to meet up. You want to start on, I'm going to go with the bottom of my bottom, or the side of my bottom section. And also, I'm gonna pipe on the back of this guy and up his little side wall. You kind of need to do a bit of a balancing act here. You're gonna stand one wall up and you're gonna stand the other wall up. Doesn't matter too much if you don't have that chocolate on the join at the bottom when you first put it on, because you can always just come in and pipe it along after the fact. Perfect. Now I'm sort of balancing those at the back with my 2 fingers, and we're gonna come along here, a little bit of chocolate on the bottom and a little bit of chocolate. Might as well go up the side of this guy because he's standing. And on goes our little sidewall. So your little top piece should sit nice and flush on the back of your oven, but it should hang over the front a little bit. So to stick that one on, I'm just gonna come around the 3 edges, so just the 2 sides and the back. Place it down. So we're gonna make the controllers, and I didn't make these earlier because you need to size them up with the approximate width of your oven. I'm just gonna slice that off, and I'm gonna try and come down a little bit of an angle with it. So kind of just grade it down a little bit because it's gonna match the other side, and it's just gonna look a little bit nicer. And then we'll do that again with our other piece so they're about the same size. And you want to end them, so pick your 2 nicest sides to face forward, and then we're going to run a little bit, just a little bit here of that pink chocolate right down the middle. Now for your little controllers, this is where the M&Ms come in, and I'm keeping everything brown. So I'm going to take 2 large ones for the 2 outside controllers. They're going to be my larger ones. And I'm just going to dip a toothpick into my larger container of pink chocolate. A little dab of pink chocolate. Make sure the M's here are facing on the insides. And when you're putting them on, you want them slightly higher than that center line. And then I'm going to put 3 small M&Ms for my smaller controllers. So you want to take a bit of that pink chocolate again, and we're going to run it straight along the back line here. And then on goes our little control set. You're just going to have to support that with your hands until that chocolate goes tacky and it's firm enough to hold on to your little controllers at the back. So now you just want to take one of your little Pocky, you can turn your oven door over, and I'm going to just size it up and snap it off. And I'm going to take 2 more of those little brown M&Ms so that I can lift the handle off the oven door a little bit. Now here you want to make sure you're only using a really little bit because you don't want to see too much of that pink coming out around the outside of your little Pocky oven handle. Then you want to take your scissors and you're going to take a sour strap. That's about how long I want my tea towel hanging. So I'm going to snip that off once it's already doubled over. Don't try to stick that on until you've given the front door enough time to set. You can take one of your little tiny cupcakes now. I like to secure them to the base of the oven with a little blob of chocolate. So you've got 2 options with your little ovens. You can either leave the doors kind of open, which is a little more risky for transportation but looks super cute, or you can close them completely up. So I didn't attach this one because I wanted to show you both options. Ideally you'd use the same color chocolate, but I only have pink melted. So rest it on a piece of baking paper. It'll stand up a little bit by itself anyway because of that Pocky. And you want to fill in the gaps. And then you need to take something, I'm going to use a little tiny cute bowl, and I'm just going to slide it underneath the handle so that it can completely set nice, perched and balanced. So if you're going to close it completely up, you just want to do all 4 of your little sides here and straight on the front like so. And I'm just going to support that for a second or 2. And then I want to take my little tiny tea towel. So in goes the non-chocolated side. Your tiny little graham cracker cookie easy bake ovens, complete with mini cupcake inside, are ready to go. These are probably the cutest things that I've ever made. I love anything in miniature, and miniature with miniature inside, it blows my mind. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you loved it, make sure you give me a like or let me know in the comments down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and as always guys, thanks very much for watching.